Morning, everyone.
Morning, Michael. Steelers seem to make a ton of plays in special teams. They're always showing the guy with like 8 pieces of gum in his mouth. What do they do well?
Yeah, Danny, been in the league a long time. I think this is his 12th year with Pittsburgh. You see they play hard for him. They rush extremely hard. You got Killebrew, who's been doing it for a long time. Herbig. They just rush really hard, and they play hard for Danny. They do a great job in terms of their scheme and rushing and believing that they could change the course of a game. So this is going to be a very, very good test for us going forward. And I always, respected Danny. Danny had Hightower when he was in Washington, and I was under Hightower in San Francisco. So just that kind of connection. And Danny's just one of those legends in the special teams community. Gets all these guys to play hard, play relentless, fast. They got good players. Calvin Austin, he's a great little punt returner. They got Cordero, Killebrew. I mean, the list could go on. They always done a great job. So it's really going to test us this week to be prepared and be on our P's and Q's, because it's going to be a physical game. And it's going to be one of those very similar to Baltimore, where it's going to be coming down to maybe special teams having a huge impact on the game.
What was the limit on the yardage of kicking into the north in the second half there? How far did you guys decide that Jake could kick it?
Yeah, and it was always an ongoing situation, depending on how the flow of the game was, and without going into too much details and telling what the yardage was. I think it was great communication from Jake to Tyler to Coach Sirianni on what we thought was best for the team. And at that point in time, our defense, it's a great defense that Vic's running right now. And when we had made a decision, we put the punt team out there, knowing, all right, we could get these guys pinned down, and Avante and Brady did a great job of pinning them down at the 3-yard line to give our defense 97 yards to defend, and it worked out for us. But everything's so, organic in the time and sense. Like, if your defense is playing well and they're not really doing well, yeah, give them the long field to protect right there. So, again, everything is, under a microscope for what it is in that situation. And we thought the best thing for us as a team was to put our punt team out there, and we executed at a high clip on that one. And, always great to get a win. NFL's hard to win in, depending on the team.
Michael, did you see the way the Dallas game ended last night?
Sure did. That's the roller coaster of special teams. I'm sure Bonesy, when he saw the punt block, was screaming for joy. Then, unfortunately, it turned into despair really quick, and vice versa for Darren on the other side. But always a coaching moment for us, to show the guys later in the week, like, hey, this is what we would do in this situation to mitigate anything feeling that despair.
Get out of the way.
We would, in that situation, pass the line of scrimmage, we just yell, hey, poison, poison, poison. We're already in plus territory right there. Get out the way. Let our offense do what they have to do.
You say you'd be more concerned with Jake if the ball was spraying. He missed one right, one left. Is there more concern given that?
No. The direction of the wind obviously plays a big part of it. The one going to the left on the PAT, the guy was offside. He's like in your line of sight. You're not really paying attention to your kick. We're not really too worried about that one. And the one on the right is not always just Jake. It starts with me as the coordinator to make sure that I reiterate to guys that we have to be perfect in our operation, and it goes down to our blocking from the field goal team to the snap to the hold. There's always something that we can always better ourselves at to make ourselves in the best possible situations. And I don't think our operation was as clean as it could have been on that long 52-yarder. I'm sure if you ask Jake, he probably says he didn't strike it as well as he wanted to. So it's not always just on 4. It's always a team effort. That's why it's the greatest team game. And we can always be clean with that, starting with the snap to the protection to the hold, to make sure that we put our team in the best possible situation.
What's wrong with the operation on the field?
It just wasn't as clean as we wanted it to be clean. There's no, it's not like the ball was skipping all over the ground or anything like that. But in our eyes, from a specialist standpoint, we hold ourselves to the highest degree in terms of perfect snap, perfect hold, perfect kick, and it just didn't happen at that point. And, we put our defense in a bad spot right there with a short field. So when we go out there, we expect to put 3 points on the board, because that's what we want to help our team to win in any way we possibly can.
He's 0 for 5 from 50-plus now. I guess, is there a trend with any of those kicks that you can point to?
Yeah, I think every kick is its own entity. I mean, one of the kicks is from 60 yards. Your probability is not going to be great. The other one, Myles Garrett got on a 57-yarder. Nothing with Jake. We didn't protect well enough right there. The 51, we missed, obviously. 52, we missed as well. Then the other one was a 57-yarder. So everything breathes its own life, But again, if you ask Jake or myself, or any of the specials, anytime we go out there, we want to put 3 points on the board, or 1 point if it's an extra point. So again, there's nothing to it in terms of are you super worried about it? I think the confidence level is still high in Jake. If you see his resume, I mean, last year he was nails, but obviously this year, and like you said, it's 0 for 5. It is what it is. It's the reality of sports, but we're not going to, the world's not, the sky's not falling down in terms of our eyes. We're going to go back out there. Tomorrow's another day for Wednesday for Jake to get out there, put his best foot forward, keep the confidence going with him, and make sure, it's the last month of the season. It's going to come down to a kick at some point. And when you have Jake in there, you actually have a good feeling that he can't put it through the uprights.
Are you simulating some of those kicks in practice?
Am I blowing
more
20-mile-per-hour winds? If we could go outside, we can. But yeah, we move it from 18 yards to 20 yards to pushing it back to 57 yards to an end-of-game kick to a 5-step kick if it's a 62-yarder. We try to put them in the same in the most realistic type things we possibly can. That's why we kick an hour before practice when the offense and defense are going through individual. We go to our field and we're still doing all those kicks. So we're doing all we can to make it as real life as possible. But again, in those situations, it comes down to just executing at the highest of our ability.
Mike, is there anything as a staff you can do? We've seen athletes before kind of get inside their own heads, a little self-doubt creeps in. Is there anything you can do as a staff to maybe help with the mental side of things?
I think from the staff mental standpoint, it's just reiterating how great of a kicker he is. That's positive reinforcement. I obviously can't get in the mind of Jake, and Jake is such a great athlete, and he's had ice in his veins at times. But for myself, I could really help him out by just keep positive reinforcing him, Rick, Braden, and it's not just those three. Like I have to make sure our core four is being positive reinforced. When things aren't up to our standard, I got to make sure I put a pin on that and make sure we can play to that high standard. So again, for myself, I'm almost like a caddy. Those guys go out there. I'm just trying to help them out in one way. Maybe it's a phrase I could tell him, hey, stay true to yourself, finish down the field, where he could just keep that in motion for him and it'd help him out. So for myself, it's just being the best caddy I possibly can be in terms of that mental aspect and keep positive reinforcing not just him, but the entirety of this team.
To kind of follow up on that, you've talked about how consistent Jake's process is. Do you have to be disciplined to say, all right, maybe if some things continue to go wrong, you have to step in a little bit more, maybe?
Yeah, I think it almost comes down to me just being open and honest with him and him being open and honest with me in just terms of, hey, what can I do to help you out in your process? Maybe it's something where he needs me to tell him when we get past the 50 these are all the examples that I possibly can help him. So he gets into that right mindset. And again, I don't want to mess with he's been doing this in the past for 7 years. So I don't want to, ruin his or throw his, routine off, but I can't help if he comes up to me, hey, can you just do this real quick? Yeah, I'll do it for you at any point. I just want the best for him, the best for the team more than anything else. So that's for me to say, for him to tell me to get out of his way, by all means, to help him out. If it's for him to tell me that, hey, just tell me when we get past the 50-yard line so I can really get into it, by all means, I'll do that. So just the open and honest communication. I think myself, Tyler, we've got a great rapport with Jake over these past 4 years. So anything he needs me to do, I'm more than willing to do for him.
This goes back to the summer. In the first preseason game, he missed the 50-yarder, missed the extra point. How did you feel about him going into the season based on the summer he had?
Yeah, if you look at the 23 season, he did the exact same thing. He missed a 50-yarder, then he set the franchise record for field goal percentage right there. And again, he came back after Pat Johnson made a hell of a play. He came back and hit the game winner. So it's one of those things where Jake, you still have supreme confidence in him because he's done it for so long and he's hit so many big kicks. But again, I always want to make sure our guys are positively reinforced and they know that we have their back regardless of the situation, that we're going to go down swinging for them. So again, when it comes in tomorrow, he's going to get his kicks in. If hopefully we're outside and he gets those kicks and those elements because we're in the Northeast, and there's going to be a lot of games that come down to wind, cold, rain. So just going back to our process and again, not losing the joy of football. I think that's a big thing. I think I told the guys yesterday on Monday is don't lose the joy of football, because once you lose the joy of football in this league, it's going to eat you and chew you and spit you out just as quick. So again, we get to play a child's game, but it's obviously at a higher clip. But don't forget to lose the joy of this game.
Do you do anything different schematically when you have two different punt returners in Cooper and Covey? Do you block differently maybe for one versus the other?
I think I try to keep it as simple as possible in terms of the guy's interior, so they're not uber thinking about it. There is two different entities in terms of Coop and Covey, both are very, very tough, but Coop obviously a bigger body. I would say, Covey has a little bit more, make you miss aspect. But those two guys, if we can make punt return an 11 pod entity instead of 22 people, I think it's just going to help them to get their lanes and running forward. We missed an opportunity last game to get some chunk yards right there, but I thought Coop did a really good job in terms of fielding the ball. The one went over his head. It's football. It bounced back to the 10. We hit it at the 3. But again, I think it's for us on the interior and the vice to get them started and give them an avenue to they could pick. All right, let me get downhill. Once I split that first wave, I could get outside, very similar to what Coop did in the Dallas game and very similar to what Covey did all of last year. So for us on the punt return tier, we're going to strain a little bit more to keep it an 11 pod thing instead of 22 different entities right there.
When Blossom came in, most of the attention went to the fullback part of it, but he played 15 snaps for you. What does he give your unit there?
Yeah, he's played, a lot of meaningful snaps and special teams in his career in Tennessee and Chicago. And that's the beauty of special teams. You get a guy that comes in on Monday and he gets to plug and play a core 4. And I thought he did a good job. For being thrust in there first week, I thought he did a really good job. Almost got in on a tackle on that punt. But again, it just starts from this entire room on Wednesday, me telling them, hey, you never know when your number is going to be called. Let's get ready. Let's get going right here. Because if your number is called, we expect, to play at a high clip and a high level. And you saw Andre Sam got to play 4-core team for us, and he didn't miss a beat. So again, that's the beauty of this special teams world. Everyone's involved. And you saw Avonte Maddox had one of the biggest plays in the game right there. So it doesn't matter who it is. I'll take anybody and try to coach them up the best of my ability to help this team out going forward.